Welcome back to I Pick Passion. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies creativity, authenticity, and growth. Rome Green Jr. You might know him as a member of the iconic comedy collective Dormtainment, but Rome is also an entrepreneur, storyteller, and co-founder of High Frequency. In this episode, we dive into some of the most meaningful aspects of the creative journey: gratitude, authenticity, and the power of pivoting. Rome shares invaluable insights for creatives, from finding your unique voice to embracing change as part of the process. If you're looking for inspiration to stay true to your passion while navigating the challenges of life and business, this conversation is packed with gems just for you. So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's dive into this incredible conversation with Rome Green Jr. Okay, Rome. So we're going to play an icebreaker that I like to play with, a game called Hella Awkward. And you've already chosen the category Real Talk. So I'm going to read the cards to you. You give me your answer. Okay? Okay, so define love. Okay. So that's the end all be all right there. There's nothing else to be said.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. I love it. I love it. Okay. So if you could fix one world issue, what would it be?
If I could fix one, it would probably be, hunger, man. It's the easiest one. It's just, people be hungry.
People be hungry.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so many that I
would.
but world hunger would definitely be one, for sure.
Absolutely. That, or I would say, I think that's the one. Yeah, I think that's the one.
That's the one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Let's start with, who was young Rome? Who were you as a kid? And how did you know that this is what you wanted to do with your career?
Young Rome. Well, I was born in Germany to two military parents, so I got to see a lot of the world. Born in Germany, lived in Boston, lived in Panama, lived in Florida, lived in North Carolina, where I currently claim that I'm from. Come on and raise up, take your shirt off, twist it around your head. You know how it goes. But I was always into the arts. I never strayed away from like using my creative brain, the right side of my brain. I always was like curious about stuff. My mom used to always say, boy, you just always getting into something, always doing something, always trying to figure out something, always trying to sell something, so I had that part. I started a rap group when I was like in 8th grade. We thought we was doing something. We was pretty good, you know what I'm saying? We was straight, we was straight. But I knew that I was a good leader because I was able to help build that group and find other talent and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, I have a knack for creativity. And then I was making beats at the time. I was like doing all those things to kind of like engage and figure out like who I was as a creative. And so young Rome was always creative, always exploring. And I think you never should lose that exploration deep down in your spirit as a kid. And as an adult, you should always try to keep that childlike manner, because I think it goes a long, long way. So I think that's who I was as a kid: curious, confident, and explorative.
I love that.
Sounds
a lot like myself.
If you hear something random in the background, I'm at my mom's office for anybody listening. So if you hear a fax machine, that's what happens. So.
It's real life over here, real life.
Oh, it's okay. For sure. For sure.
All right. So when you look back at your journey with Dormtainment, what are some defining moments of personal growth that have shaped you into who you are today?
Give you two. Number one is when we sold out the Gramercy Theater in New York, because right then I knew that we had caused a movement, and people, anytime you can get people to show up and buy tickets and stuff like that, you're like, okay, we're doing something right. It gotta be something right. Because I tell people, like, what you're really getting at a show is you're exchanging your value. You're exchanging like a form of like peace and love to somebody who's coming to pay to watch you. They're not necessarily paying to just see people on stage. They're paying for a moment of relief. They're paying for just a moment of just having fun with their friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's that type of environment. And so that's why it's like that was a moment. And then the other one would be, I think, when I would say the first time we were on set with Comedy Central, because they pretty much showed us how a real like production and set goes, and we hadn't seen that before. So that was like a huge thing, a huge turning point that defined like who we were. We learned how to, write in a certain format. We learned how to set goes and all those things. So they all contributed to each little piece. I'm sure it's multiple moments, but those are just two off the top of my head.
I love it. I love that. So how do you stay committed to your own growth while helping others along the way?
Stay committed to my own growth while helping others along the way. I think by always just knowing that the journey is the growth. The growth never ends, right? We wake up every day, and what's one thing that I can do every day? I can get 1% better every day, right? And if I look at it like that, then that means that I get 365% better in a year, right? And so when I look at it like that, I'm like, oh, this year I can get 365% better. And then the next year I can add another 365 to that. All right, cool. Even if it's just one thing that I can do, like it's just one more thing, one more phone call, one more email, one more thing. People never know how close they are to their destiny until they do that one more thing, right? There's so many people who are about to quit, and then they're like, you know what, let me do this one more thing. And that one thing propels them to, where they are now. And I just stay committed to my growth because I know that God is really abundant, right? It's an internal force that's always and forever around me. It's always expanding. The universe is always expanding. So my brain is always expanding. So that's one way I think about it. But another is when you're serving somebody else, one of my favorite quotes is, if you want to learn something, you read it. If you want to understand something, you write it. But if you want to master something, you teach it. Right. So that's the phase that I'm in my life, is I'm in the midst of mastering everything that I've known before by teaching it to others. And so in the simultaneous atmosphere of me teaching, I'm also evolving and learning myself. So I think that's the best way to look at it.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
I echo everything you said. Okay, in your bio, you mentioned helping creatives package their story through media and gift it to the world with a smile. What does this mean to you on a personal level?
Man, everything is a package, right? That's what content really is. Like people don't know the definition of content, but what content is basically a package. And what's a package? It can be whatever you put inside, whatever that gift is, right? And even if you look at our thoughts, right? Our thoughts floating around in this like universal Amazon. And when you pick a thought, it comes down, it's packaged with a code, and then that product code is sent out. So whatever our thoughts is, whatever we have, it's from this universal storehouse that we have. And so content is the same way. The ideas are flowing in this universal place. And I just want to help creators be able to bring that idea down, put a product label on that, and give it to their audience and give it to the people that they love. So that's what I kind of like see when I think about it like that. Yeah.
That's deep. You got me. I'm like, wow, I like how your brain works. I'm like, I'm picturing this like
yeah, you know what I'm
like,
saying?
oh, okay, I'm tracking.
Or just or any business, right? If you order anything online, it's at some warehouse, right? So really it's a process. So like I tell people, you have everything you need already. You're just not package it in the right way that's best for your ecosystem, that's best for your health and your wellness. So I want to help you be able to package it in the right way so that then you can pull it on to the next audience. That's what, I'm getting hired now to do campaigns for people. What's a campaign? A campaign is just a series of packages put together and then put out, so that's essentially what I'm finding more love in doing, because it's like an art, you know what I'm saying? So it's really cool. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. So how do you approach telling stories in a way that resonates with both humor and heart?
Man, by being authentic, by not being afraid to embarrass myself. I've told so many embarrassing stories at this point. And so I think just showing up authentically, right? Like, so there's a difference between, let's use an example. You could have spilled coffee on yourself on the way to work, right? And you could get online and be like, you know what? Sometimes in life we have these spillages that pour into our lives and it feels like the day is done, da-da-da. Cool, the story's there, but it'd be like, a better story is, have you ever just been rushing in life and figured out you couldn't figure out what shoe to put on. You're already looking at your clock. Your dog is peeing on the floor, going crazy. And then to top it all off, you get in the car and you spill coffee all over your work outfit, and you're already late, so you don't know if you should go in and change or just cover it up. Well, yeah, that happened to me this morning, but let me tell you the lesson that I learned from it. It already sounds more interesting. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes. It's the
It already
truthfulness.
just,
It's just the authenticity. Like, look, this is real. Like I said earlier, this is real life. Like, look,
this is
I'm not
real life.
pretending.
Yeah,
Amen.
and automatically the audience is like, oh shoot, yeah, you just painted the picture for me. Yeah, I've gone through that before. Talk to me. Like, what is that? Like, let me see what that is. And so that's
Absolutely.
what it is. That's exactly
Absolutely. It
what
sounds just like the
storytelling.
short I just did. I put a short up last night on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, and I was basically, because I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, and we were talking about, she said something and then I said something, and I was like, girl, I feel like my brain be doing hopscotch. And like, and that visual came to, and I said, wait a minute, I'm putting this up. Like, this is definitely like worthy of being said.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you it did so well, like, just
That's what I'm
by the time
saying.
I went and got in the shower, came back out, and when I tell you, I was like, what? So
Yeah.
just being real. And that was just my brain, just like, really, I be having a lot going on.
Being real, like it's so many ways you can like piece stories together and make them sound good and all these things, or you can just be authentic and be like, this is what happened to me, but this is also what I took away from it, and this is how you can. That's all brand and selling and marketing is, right? Like I could, for example, one way I was able to get a particular client was I could either say, hey, look, if you hire me, I can like save you, time on creating content, and you can, have more time with your family and this and that, a third. That was cool, but I was like, let me think deeper. So I was like, yo, how long does it take to make somebody make a piece of content sometimes? I'm like, all right, it might take, let's say, 3 days, to put something together. I was like, okay, so let me break that down into like hours. And then I was like, nah, let's break that down into minutes. And so then I was like, yo, have you ever saved, 10,677 minutes on a piece of content? Well, you got to start by hiring me, because I'm the only person that's going to save you that much time. Because now you see a big number and your brain is automatically like, wait, what? Huh? It take me that long to do that? What could I do in that amount of time? You know what I'm saying? So it's just playing with the site. Once you learn human psychology, I think you learn everything. I think that's what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, I want to ask you a question. You said something about wellness earlier. You mentioned the word wellness.
Yep.
And how do you take care of your mental wellness, your physical wellness? Like, what are some habits that you personally do or adapt to take care of yourself?
Man, I eat fat shit. I eat sugary shit. I just eat big, fat, sugary shit. That makes me happy. I take care of myself that way.
Balance. I mean, I'm not mad.
But no. I mean, hey, sometimes you gotta throw that in there. But I would say how I take care of myself is first and foremost prayer and meditation. Just like that. I just recently got into breath work, which has been really interesting, because most humans, we only take shallow breaths, because when you start to really breathe deep, you start to get lightheaded. You start to like feel your like tingling in your hands. I did a whole like 45-minute breathwork class, but I felt so alive coming out of it. I felt like I had ran, because I was able to expand my lungs, really breathe in, really like take that air in. And I think the beautiful thing about breath work, while I'm talking about wellness, is like it's the one way you can see how the law of circulation works. And basically the law of circulation is what you give, you receive, what you receive, you give. Breath, in order to give one, you have to take one, or in order to take one, you have to give one. So it's just a sign of like how life works. And so that's what they teach you during this breath work, and then you're circulating life. And so that breath work, meditation, prayer, but I think just playful shit. Like my homie was like, yo, we doing a kickball tournament. I was like, oh, I'm down. Let me make sure I jump in there. Scheduling out just playtime as an adult, puzzles, video games, whatever. These things, they help they just help the way your brain thinks. Like you think about their best ideas when you're not thinking about your best ideas. I'll put it that way. That's usually how it happens. It's because you're living. You're taking a walk without your phone. You're actually, you can ask, some people haven't even ran in years. They'd be like, what's the last time you full out ran or sprinted? They'd be like, I don't know when I ran, but yeah, just go outside and run. Just see how you feel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Of course, if your health allows it, but just go outside and run.
Yes.
Like, go touch a tree. Go look at a tree. Look at my boy Cam, when we did our high frequency podcast, he told about one of the ways he looks at color palettes and that he helps people with color palette. He looks at birds because birds have so many unique color palettes and pattern schemes. People don't even think to look at the birds and be able to take what God has already given us and then put that into some type of brand or some type of product because the colors are there. Some birds have colors you've never even seen or color patterns you've never even seen. And that's just on birds. You know, you can look at lions in the jungle or at different other animals and see how they move and see how they act. And it's so much life and inspiration if we just stop and look around. So that's another way I practice wellness is I just stop, I look around, I'm just like, there's so many beautiful things out here. What can I take from it? What can I learn from it? How can I just did a whole newsletter about what I learned from an apple tree because I was reading about apple trees and then that got me excited and I broke that down and that was a beautiful thing. So it's so much inspiration out here if we just can put our damn phone down for 10 minutes.
You can say that again. Oh my God. Let me tell you.
That's the
And it's
issue.
funny you said something about the birds because I don't remember exactly where I heard it from, but it was just the day before. I remember I was watching a sermon.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor that I love him. He's amazing. Pastor Jerry Flowers.
Oh,
I was
Jerry
watching.
Flowers. I like Jerry.
Yes, I love him. So I was watching his sermon. I forget, I don't know which one it was, but he said when you're having a moment, sometimes he said find a bird, and think about how God provides everything for that bird. So when you just, that bird already has everything they need. So why wouldn't he provide for you, right? And I remember that next day after hearing that, this just shows me in my little, my emotions. So that next morning, right, I got up and I don't remember how I was feeling. I think I was just feeling kind of overwhelmed that morning. And it was a bird right outside of my balcony door. And I remember I heard the bird before I saw the bird. And I remember it was like singing. It was like a tune. And and it felt like the bird was singing to me. When I tell you, I started crying. I was like, and it just brought me back to what he said the night before. And I was like, oh my God.
Bird was singing to you. You know what I'm saying?
It was. So I believe that like nature is healing. Like nature is so healing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, everything you just said. Okay, so how has your spiritual journey influenced your work and your perspective on personal growth?
I would say my spiritual journey started around maybe like when I was 28, 29. But it really got deeper during the pandemic, a lot of time to yourself, a lot of time to reflect and, look at things, but it influences so much because it starts there and ends there. What we see, it says it in the Bible, like see isn't true, but the unseen is the true, which is basically your external is just a projection of your internal. So if you're going through a certain thing, what are you going through internally? You know what I'm saying? So when I stop and look around at certain things that I may be creating or a space I may be in, I have to stop and reflect and be like, okay, what is my subconscious telling me? Because my subconscious is the womb of my reality, right? It's where my ideas are, they get pregnant there and then they're birthed out in whatever format that I, put it out in. So my spiritual journey has been just the laws of the universe, just the laws. I'm finding so many gems in the Bible now that I can just use and like put into real life and put into practice. Like read a book called The Kabbalion this past summer, which opened my mind to the 7 principles of the universe. There's, there's law of polarity, the the law of mentalism, the law of all these things, and they all kind of like help when I'm creating, and they help when I'm feeling a certain way, and it just makes you realize like everything, literally, like nothing exists. This table doesn't exist here if it didn't exist first inside of somebody's mind. Laptop wouldn't be here if it didn't exist first in the creators at Apple. And it's all vibrational. If I take, for example, if I take this cell phone and I had something that I could like speed it up. If I could just speed up the molecules and the atoms, all you would see is the phone. It would start to, if it started to circle, it would go from a red light to an orange light to, I think the highest, the heat is ultraviolet, right? And so then it would be ultraviolet. And then after that, it would go to X-ray. And then after that, it would break apart into molecules and molecules, and it would just disperse because they're all vibrating. And then if you had a machine that could go and grab all those particles, you could literally go grab those particles and put them all back together. It would come right back to the same thing. Like they've shown this. They've shown how everything is literally, nothing is stagnant. Nothing is stagnant. Everything is in motion. That's why it's called emotion. It's an energy in motion, right? It's not called an E standstill because it's not standing still. It's always moving. So when people are in their emotions, they have to realize that they have control of where those emotions move to. So it's not that you're in your emotions are in you, and you are in the one that's in control of them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, my spiritual journey has affected everything, like everything. It's where it starts, it's where it ends. Like it's the end all be all. Like you learn to become neutral. You learn to like be in a state of relaxation and serenity, because that's the only thing. When you try to chase stuff, of course it runs away from you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to be calm, be still in the presence of chaos. You got to have a mentality of stoicism and like understand that this is a moment and this is just a reflection of whatever that you're vibrating at. So how can you shift internally to where you're no longer dependent on seeing your reality change? How can you shift to a point where you're no longer dependent on needing that job or needing that thing? You have to shift internally, and then it'll appear externally. So that's how I look at everything now.
Wow. Okay. Love it. I don't know. I mean, I can't say anything behind that.
Yeah, I could talk about that stuff for days. So that's a whole nother
That's
podcast.
amazing. That's so amazing. So what role does gratitude play in your daily life, especially as a entrepreneur and a creative?
When I get out of alignment, gratitude plays the role of getting me back centered, right? So if I wake up and I'm feeling off, because we're human, 10 gratitudes or 5 gratitudes or even 3 gratitudes, like, and not anything I'm grateful for. Like, I'm grateful for the rug under my feet. I'm grateful for the way I slept last night. I'm grateful for the hairs on my head. I'm grateful that I can see. When you start to name the things you're grateful for, you start to realize how many things you have, and you start to get out of a lack mentality, because most of the ungratefulness comes from people being in a lack mentality. But when you live in you understand that everything around you is a blessing. It's a blessing that I'm able to talk on this laptop. It's a blessing that I'm here with my mom. Like, my mom's here, you know what I'm saying? All these
Absolutely.
things. And when I do it like that, it gets me emotional, because I'm like, dang, God, I was over here worried about this $200 bill when you've given me more than enough already. You know what I'm saying? And so that stuff starts, when you put that gratitude out there, it starts to just shift you internally. So I think gratitude is very important. And especially in these fields where, nothing is guaranteed and it's all up to you, and you feel like you're not being seen. You're always being seen by the most powerful, the most high. You're always being seen. So it's just like, how can I get in a state of gratitude to where that feeling is always with me? So that's the part.
Love it. Absolutely. That's something I need to practice more, is journaling. Like well, my handwriting is hard. I would journal on my phone. I'm more of a let's just be honest, okay? So, I'm more of a digital journal type of girl.
Okay.
But I always, profess what I'm grateful for, and I always try to keep myself, there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm human,
Of course.
but I see that journaling is a thing that people do. And I'm like, maybe even though my handwriting is terrible, maybe I should lean into it and try it.
And it's not
Um,
even you ain't gotta do nothing crazy. There's different forms of journaling, right? I tell people you can do the gratitude way where you're like, you know what, my journaling is just gonna be me saying 5 things I'm grateful for. And that's it. Or it's gonna be I'm gonna write one sentence about my future self. Or it's gonna like you can do anything. People think you have to write these long pages. You don't have to do all that. Like I mean, if people want to do that, they can, but like you can literally just use it to get you in emotion, to get you like present. Because what happens is when I'm actually writing and using the pen, I'm present. Sometimes on your phone, notifications come through, things of that nature. But when that's away and I just have my notepad, I right now, I've even got to the point where I carry around these little things called creative field notes. And when I have an idea, instead of putting it in my phone, I'll write it. It just feels better. Like, so I started doing that too. And I like the way that feels too. And I have my journal with me here. I have a high frequency journal that I just write stuff in, ideas. I write anything, thoughts. I might have a rundown, then I go back and look at it at the end of the day, depending on, what the day is like. So, yeah.
yeah, I should do better. Like I see what you're saying. It is something about writing it out, but I guess I've gotten so away from that because I'd be like, oh, this digital thing is, I don't have to worry about, going back and be like, Erica, what did you write down? Because I feel like my brain moves faster, is moving faster. And so I'm trying to keep up, but my brain is going. And that's why I think my handwriting is probably not the best. I have to really take my time to make it clear and legible so that I'm not like,
But
what
see,
did I say here?
but see, See, that's the lesson. See how you have to take your time. We're moving so fast. Like we're always
Yeah.
moving so fast. But if you have to take your time, you also take your time to think. You're taking your time to really like get it out. And you're like, you start to feel better. You're like, man, it feels good to kind of slow down sometimes and just be in it. And it takes practice if you haven't done it in a while, for sure. It takes
Yeah.
practice.
I would definitely have to
Definitely.
practice that.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to. I'm willing to. It sounds like something I should probably do.
You could just try it.
So
Yeah.
try it out. I'm willing. So can you share what inspired you to co-found High Frequency and what its mission means to you?
Oh man, I'll tell anybody listening to this. When you start a business, you're going to change directions maybe 3 or 4 times before you find the legs of your business. Most of the businesses that we see, like fun fact, like American Express, people know American Express as Amex for the credit cards, right? It was a train when it first started. It ain't had nothing to do with credit cards. So Twitter wasn't Twitter. I think it started as some other type of company, and then they went to Twitter. So the lesson in business is always be willing to pivot. They call it the startup J curve, and it's a curve where you start here and your business reiterates itself 3 or 4 different stages before it gets to where it's supposed to be. Now, granted, there are some people where they just have it and it goes, but most entrepreneurs, they pivot multiple times inside of their business. So High Frequency came off the back of us shutting down Shady Side Up, which was fun. We did it, e-commerce business. That was great. We learned a lot, but it just wasn't we didn't feel like it was taking us where we wanted to take it. So cool. But it was just a lesson, and it was great because we learned a lot of like e-commerce stuff that I could still help other businesses with. So then one day we're at one of our favorite hotels and just doing a work session, and we were like talking about what was our mission for Shady Side Up. And we was like, we're just personable people. We like to make people laugh, smile. And I was like, and we really are high frequency type of guys. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we spelled high frequency HEYE to represent our third eye and to represent the chakras and to represent seeing and vision. And Cam was like, dang, I kind of like how that sound. And then, so we started thinking about it. And then high frequency ended up turning into like this wellness thing. Right. And so we launched at the top of the year as a wellness brand. But then around like May, after we really got into it and after we brought on our CEO, Bree, we started really thinking, we were like, we like wellness and wellness is a part of us, but it's not like who we are at our core. Who we are at our core is creatives who have been in this space for a while. Right. And so we were like, let's go back to our original idea that we had a few years ago, because we've always had this thing where we want to help write commercial campaigns, brand campaigns, all these things, because we've done it before. And so we was like, let's just turn it into a creative agency. And so we were like, that's the perfect idea for us because we've already been in this. So that's great. We've worked with agencies. I've worked at an agency. Cool. But then just recently, around month, we finally got it to where it is. And we were like, the mission is a creative comedy agency because the quickest way to get from brand to audience is through humor. It's through authenticity. And we were like, that's what we've been specializing in for the past 15 years. And so now High Frequency is officially a creative comedy agency. And the tagline for us is a creative comedy agency that takes humor seriously. And so it's really exciting for us because it gives us a unique position. And at the same time, we can help creatives who are looking to scale their content, brands who are looking to connect more, people, entrepreneurs who are looking to figure out how to, because one of our services is going to be our YouTube consultations, where we want to help other YouTubers and get their channels monetized and grow their audience. And so I'm super excited about that because we have 15 years of experience in YouTube. So I'm super excited to help people with that. But overall, the mission is just to bring humor, to show people that humor is inside of everything and that it makes the world go round. And it's just a beautiful place to be in when you connect humor with creativity and, you know, discipline and resilience, and they all just kind of flow together. So my 5 pillars of content is humor, storytelling, resilience, writing, and discipline. And those 5 things create the mission for how we're trying to put stuff out into the world. And I'm just super excited to relaunch now. We're going to relaunch on the same day we launched this year. So January, top of January, to relaunch with our services.
And I was getting ready to ask too, because I know you were talking about the soft relaunch. And I was going to ask,
that's another thing. Just like have all these meetings and reiterations, and like you go from one deck to another deck to a different. We're redoing our color scheme. So we're talking about that today. We're redoing the color scheme. This is why people don't get into business, because they don't want to deal with all this. So you have to really love it. You have to love it. Like, it is so beautiful to see something come together that started at one place and ends up at another place, because it's a beautiful metaphor for life. You start off at one place, you end up at another place, and then you keep evolving from there. You know what I'm saying? Because my vision for this company isn't just to be a creative agency. I want to have software developed so that we can take that to the next level, because I'm super into tech and AI. What's the next AI thing that I'm developing? I'm in the midst of like trying to figure out this AI program that's going to help creatives streamline their content and stuff much easier. So I'm in the midst of doing that. So we want to do all those things. So I'm not just stuck in one area. Like, I'm never going to tie myself down to one thing. I'm always going to take and reiterate and scale and figure out that part. That's why I love being a creative director, because I get to just kind of see and sit back and figure out what's that thing. So right now, though, we're focusing on, let's just relaunch. We're going to get our services out, and then that's where we're going to start at. But I'm super excited to do the YouTube stuff and to help other creatives. And some people are booking calls now to talk about that stuff. So yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've mentioned travel in the past, which I know you travel a lot. What role has it played in your personal and your creative life?
It changed the way I look at the world, even though I've been traveling a long time, but as an adult, now total, I think I've been to 17 countries, I believe, total. I'm trying to get to 30 and 40, you know, that's coming. I'm not even worried about it. It'll be there. It makes you realize that the bubble you're in is just, the drop of water that you're in is really just a microcosm of the ocean that's out there, pretty much. Like, every city is just a little drop, and the world makes up this, you know, big ocean of just like culture and food and like history and like just so much beauty. When we went to Bali, and the one thing I just remember me walking away from that remembering was like, these people over here do not worry about what we worry about over there. Like, they just don't care about half the stuff. We were in the midst of going to this forest one day, and there was a wedding going on, and our tour guide was like, if we didn't have to go to this forest for this appointment, we could stop at the wedding. We were like, huh? They were like, yeah, because they welcome everybody to experience the love of other people, right? That would never happen in the States. It would just never happen because no. Even when we were talking, we were in a rice field and we were talking, we was on the farm, and the farmer was explaining to us the different remedies that they use for healing, the different flowers that they use, the oils, the seeds that they use, everything natural. And then he was like, here in Bali, there's not one nursing home because everybody takes care of their elders. And if they can't take care of them, the community takes care of them. So they don't do nursing home. So it's such a sense of like community and love, right? Everybody has their own problems. I get it. I'm sure they have problems. Everywhere has their problems. But outside looking in, that's what I know is about there. And then in Africa, seeing lions and cheetahs and stuff in their giraffes and ostriches in their natural habitat, roaming free. And then we got to spend the night in the Serengeti and get to hear what nature sounds like in that. And you just really understand the energy that's out here in the world. And like, you see nature come alive, and like how God gives everything its purpose and how it works together to make the whole place run. And then the vastness of Tanzania when we were there, just to get to the Serengeti, we had to drive 8 hours from one part of Tanzania to the Serengeti. And in those 8 hours, I kid you not, I seen so many different terrains and like textures and colors and just like beauty. And so it just showed me that the mind is very limited, and we have to keep expanding our inner world because our out is already a reflection of that. We just have to really like tap into that because it's just beautiful. I'm never going to stop traveling. I said, when they read my obituary, it's going to probably say something like, he died on some island somewhere in the world. That's what it's going to say.
No, that is hilarious.
That's what it's going to say. Yeah, absolutely. And my spirit going to be
I
up
love
there.
to travel too, so I get it. Traveling, it definitely lets you know that you're not where you reside or where you stay is so much bigger. Like, for people that have never traveled or have never actually gotten outside of where they live, like, they have no idea how much more world it is out there. Like, it's
So much.
it's something to see and something to behold. You're like, oh my God. Like, so it's not just that's not all that's here. Okay, there is more,
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think that I would advise, like I always said, I don't have kids, but I said if I did have a kid or whatever, I said I would almost encourage my child to, if I knew that my child could handle it, obviously, because every child is different, I believe, but I would encourage them to see the world. Like, I would encourage them, one, they would travel anyway, because I would, obviously they would travel with me, or, my husband or whatever, but I would want them to see the world. Or like, if they go to college, like, hey, please, like, go somewhere else. Don't stay home
Don't
and
stay
go to
home.
college. Like, I would
Yeah, yeah.
encourage you to go to a college somewhere out of the state, somewhere out of the country even. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like it's okay. Home will be here, but go somewhere, see the world. Like, because I realized I didn't start traveling really until, well, I kind of did when I was younger, but we didn't really do like family vacations and things like, as much as I would have preferred when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I got older, I started to travel on my own, and I began
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see like the world, and I was like, oh. And so I just feel like I would want my child to, and I regret not really regret, but I didn't go away to school and do those things that I wish that I had done. So, I did end up getting my bachelor's later, but I didn't. I did it online,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I had actually went to a school and So the experience is, realizing what I wish I had done differently. I would encourage anybody to
Yeah,
go see the
go
world,
out,
go
travel.
out and do it,
Absolutely.
venture, go do it.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. So anyway, to everything you said. So how has your family influenced your values and approach to work?
She just, being here at her office and seeing, like, I've seen her work since I was a kid. Like, work is a blessing and people take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? It's truly a blessing to be able to get up and move your body and work. It's spiritual, to be honest. But we just look at it so negatively because of what America has like done to it. You know what I'm saying? But people have been working since the beginning of time. Like, that's just what it is. Just knowing that work isn't a bad thing. Like, people look at work as a bad thing. It really is a spiritual thing. You get to you get to provide value. You get to like serve. And granted, America has made it to where, you're underpaid and stuff like that. But like, again, you have to look at how you're reflecting, how you are interior reflecting your exterior. But yeah, my mom, definitely a big influence. I've seen her work her way up and just keep working hard. Like, she started out, at 4 figures, then 5 figures, and now in her career, she's at above 6 figures, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch her do that. And then my dad, I've seen him take care of me, my two little brothers, and like instill in us what it means to be a man and like how you take care of yourself, how you hold yourself accountable, how you work hard, because he was in the military and how he had to work hard for himself. My grandma, she instilled the value of just a peaceful heart to me. Like, when people meet me, they're like, just you're mad calm, you're super calm. And I'm like, I think I get that from my grandma. I've never seen her yell, never seen her fuss. Like, I've never seen it. I'm just like, it's a beautiful thing. And she's almost 80, 81 now. And then my family has taught me the strength of longevity. Like, I'm 36 years old and I still have all of my grandparents, which is a beautiful thing. And I've only lost my great grandma, who was 98 years old. I just lost her in May. So I'm just like, there's something strong in our family that keeps us together. So I've been studying that to figure out what that thing is. But I think it's just a peace and understanding that we don't have, our time is expiring on this earth, so why spend it stressed out and worried about everything? So I think my family has just taught me how to like show up, serve, and just be the best person I can be and try to help as many people as I can before I leave this world. So that's pretty much what they've taught me.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, wow. And you said how are your grandparents? Like, I don't have mine, so
Yeah,
that's
I don't
like
take that
I'm
for
like
granted.
hmm,
I say I don't take that for granted at all. Like,
no,
when I think about it.
don't. And I'm 36 too, and I yeah, I don't have mine. Which they're missed, and when you don't have them, you don't feel the void, but you feel the void. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is an adjustment, especially when we were close, all very close,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and holidays for a while didn't feel the same. You're like, oh, you know what I mean, like all that, and
Yeah.
especially my grandma, my mom's mom, in particular, like that, she was the rock. You know what I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
held us all together, and
Mm-hmm.
Sunday dinners, like the simple things. You know what I mean, and so those things you do miss. So it's a blessing that you still have them. Like, cherish them and hold on to them. Like, talk to them, call them, like all the things, because when you don't have them, those moments will be so missed.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
For
yeah.
sure.
Okay. Well, that was very heartfelt.
Absolutely.
So, in working with creatives, what do you find are the most common barriers they face when it comes to sharing their story?
And just honestly, pure laziness. Yeah, laziness. They say they have a fear of something, but they're not understanding that a fear, you honestly can't have a fear of success or failure, because a fear is something in the immediate. If you will open your door and you see a lion, that's fear. Because you're like, it's immediate. What they have is anxiety, which is a future outcome that they predict is going to happen that hasn't happened yet. That's what they have. And a lot of that anxiety stems from them thinking that people are going to judge them. So people are not really scared to put out their work. They're scared of people talking about the work that they put out. That's really what it is. So with most creatives, I try to let them know you have to fail, and you have to fail fast. You have to test, you have to retest, you have to do it again and again. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, he said, you wouldn't believe how many projects we failed out that we've never, that you guys wouldn't even know because we put it out. We fail so fast, and we keep going. You see the successful ones because but out of 100, you might get 3. Volume negates luck. Luck, people think luck is just, oh, they were lucky. No, they had enough volume of work that you think is luck, but they know that they put out 1,000 pieces of content and 5 of them went viral that created their whole empire and their success. But they had to do those 1,000 reps, right? When you're in the gym, 10 push-ups isn't going to make you successful. But 10 push-ups for 10 months, you're probably going to see some results. You know what I'm saying? You're probably going to see some results out of that. So I try to teach creatives the act of resilience, which is one of those pillars that I was talking about earlier. You have to have a resilience factor when it comes to content. And also, everybody that you think is judging you, they'll be dead in 100 years. So it doesn't matter. It just don't matter. Like, so like whatever. And you probably will never meet them ever in your life. So it doesn't matter.
Amen to that too. Amen.
Yeah, but of course you have to build that muscle up. I've been on the internet for 15 years. People have said the worst and the best things about me. Do I care? No. When I first started, I thought I was going to care, but I just was like, probably wouldn't say this in person. They're never going to meet me. I don't know what they look like because they use a fake profile. Care. When we first started High Frequency, somebody literally wrote a comment and was like, yeah, I don't see this being successful at all, but I'm wishing you guys luck. I was like, thanks. I was
thanks
like,
for your unsolicited opinion? Like, thanks.
I was like, what you see successful don't matter to me because my success and your success are 2 different things. So, you know, it is what it is. But people allow those thoughts to like fester and get into their brain. And then boom, now they're holding on to these false beliefs that they deemed as true. They only true because their mind said it was true. But if you throw it out the window, then it's just like, it's not even worried about it. So they struggle with imposter syndrome a lot. That's what they say is imposter syndrome. But I think that's just procrastination most of the time. So, and yeah, those are the most things that the creatives struggle with that I find when I'm talking to them or working with them. Like, yeah.
I can see that. For sure. Because you got to be, the resilience is definitely a thing. Like last night I actually got a comment on that short I was talking about that I put up last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I just completely like ignored it, but I could have let it get in my head, right? And I could have been like, oh, like, you know, maybe I shouldn't do, like, I could have just gave up and said, I'm not going to do this again. Like, I'm not going to even like, but I was like, why am I letting these people, somebody that I don't know, they don't know me, I'll never meet them. And who are they to me to offend me or get to me? Like, man, it was probably the first, I think that might be one of the first comments that I've actually gotten like that. I don't really, because if I have gotten any others, like, I don't pay attention to them like that usually. But that one I happened to see, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, some people bored. They ain't got nothing else to do.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, like,
because the people, you know, it's funny. I seen, you know, like if somebody say, "Oh, you fell off," it's funny listening to somebody say somebody fell off when they themselves were never on.
Yeah.
So it's like, you've never been on. I've been on. So if you've never been on and you're telling me I fell off, then your definition of falling off is null and void to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And most people, successful people don't hate on the ones below them. Doesn't make sense.
Not at all. Not in any way. Like, made a comment about my teeth. The comment was, I don't remember even what it was, but it was something about my teeth. Like, yeah, okay, I have a gap. Yeah, I'm going to get Invisalign. I'm aware. Like that was something I was already gonna do anyway. But I mean, but I've never had problems with my teeth. Nobody, like the people in my life, nobody's ever. I always get compliments on my teeth. In fact, but it's something that I personally want to work on for myself. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But why do you?
because because he has an insecurity, and so he had to point out somebody else's.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's usually how
So
it happens.
people just be people. But anyway, I persevere. What advice would you give to creatives who want to find their voice and make their story heard? Or is it what we just talked about, basically?
Yeah, put shit out, man. Stop being scared. Like, you can't find your voice if you don't speak. Like, that's just what it is. Like, you literally,
Mm.
you can't find. It's like a singer saying, "How do I make a song?" Well, you gotta sing it, you gotta write it, you gotta make it, you gotta do it, you gotta. So yeah, I would say, look, we're in a world that content rules over, and it's not going anywhere no time soon. So, and businesses use content, entrepreneurs use content, teachers use content. Content is writing, content is acting, content is social media, content is literally everywhere. So like, you're not going to be by yourself when you put out your content, but you are going to have to find your unique position by like asking yourself, what's my story? How do I talk about things? The little ways that you talk to your best friends, how can I bring that to the world? Like, how can I feel like they're my best friend and we could talk? You know what I'm saying? That's how you start to find your voice and you develop it. The voice isn't going to be there at first. When we first started podcasting, it was trash, and then we had to get better and better. When we first started skits, it was trash. We had lights in the background, we had all type of stuff, but you have the heart and soul in it, and you just keep going, and then eventually you get a better light, and then eventually you get a better microphone, and your oratorial skills start becoming better. You're speaking more confident. And so, like, when I work with people, I don't just want to give them content. I want to give them confidence, because that's what they're really looking for. The content is just a byproduct. The confidence is, I know how to speak on camera. I know how to put something together. I can go out and do this. That's what they're really searching for. Where people are like, oh, I need help with my content. You kind of honestly just need help with your confidence. That's really what people are looking for, because they know how to take a phone. They know how to shoot something. They know how to upload it. They know how to do all that. Like, what you're looking for is somebody to give you the permission to be who you need to be.
100%. I agree. Okay, so what do you hope to accomplish through your work in media and storytelling over the next few years?
To be an inspiration to young Black people who are looking to, in the creative field, who are looking to work with other creators. I'm looking to be a community of creators who support each other, who show up for each other, who can take trips together, who can bond, like, and just bring peace to a world of chaos. Like, creation was at the beginning. In the beginning, God created. Automatically, he tells us that we're supposed to create, because in the beginning, God created. So I want people to realize that they're supposed to create. They're supposed to be out there. I don't care if your creation is make socks for cats. Great. Create it. Make sure it's out there. Talk to people about it. Whatever it is. Like, be your full authentic self. So I want to hopefully inspire more people to just create fast, fail even quicker, and then come back and do it again and have a testimony so that you can also pass that to somebody else.
Absolutely. I think relatability these days actually resonates more with people, because I think people want to like the person. Like, they want to
Mm-hmm.
relate to you. They want to, more than like putting out this, like, it has to be perfect. It has to be the certain kind of way. I think people respect and appreciate people just being people more these days. Yeah, that's what I mean, I think that's always been a thing, but I think at one point, I think that's becoming more common now.
Yeah.
That's a
People
common
are
thread.
People are tired of like the fakeness. People are tired of, they just like, look, man, just talk to me like a regular human being. Like, that's it.
Yeah. I want to feel like
That's it.
you're my best friend. Like you listening to
Yeah.
me. I'm like, I can listen to you. I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could inspire your audience to take one action after listening to our conversation, what would it be?
To breathe. Because the reason I say to breathe, I mean to take a deep breath and tell yourself you are capable. You already have everything you need because you cannot pull from a source that does not have. And God gave you everything that you already have. So take what you have and use it. But before you do that, breathe and understand that breath is a blessing and that you are alive. And because you are alive, you have another chance to do something. So start with a breath and then move from there.
I love that. Okay. Just breathe. Just breathe. Woosa.
No, we be tight sometimes. We be tight. You got to breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Lord knows. I know I do. I be like, Eric, relax.
For
Well, thank
sure.
you, Rome.
Of course.
I
Of
appreciate your
course.
time.
Yeah. Thank you.